What's up, people? How you guys doing today? Coach Q here, just coming with you, just to share in some three what I feel is three major tips that's going to help you optimize your health. Okay. First, I want to talk about the first thing is optimizing your health is you've got to, and number one is prioritize protein. Okay, prioritize protein. Um, I'm pretty sure we realize that protein is very important for our health, correct? Um, Protein is, of course, the building blocks of all of our cells. Everything that we're made of for is bone, muscle, skin, all of our tissues in our body comes from the basic building block of amino acids, which makes up proteins. Okay, so if our bodies is made primarily of protein, then it begs the um, need that we have more protein or include an adequate amount of protein in our diet. Okay, protein is very important for, like I said, for all of our structure in our body, particular skin is made of protein. We need protein for, of course, for muscles, and muscle is the um, currency is a very valuable currency that we must maintain. Is very important for longevity. So, is muscle is highly um, valuable for our health, and of course, protein make up our muscles. What else is why should we another reason why we should prioritize um, protein? Um, our hair, keratin, is made of protein, so we need a lot of protein to maintain the structure of our hair. Okay. Um, Again, just by another thing might be your nails. Also, is very important for protein. So basically, anything that all of our structures in our bodies, our organs, our tissues, everything requires protein. A lot of our enzymes and hormones, especially our enzymes, are made of protein, and we need these type of proteins to carry out various bodily functions and chemical reactions. Okay, so it's highly important that we um, consume protein. Now, as we get older, in our older age, it is highly recommended that we consume more protein because once we reach age 30, there is a phenomenon called, or not call a phenomenon, but uh, a medical fact or issue called sarcopenia. So at age 30, we can lose as much as 3% of our muscle mass per decade. And then once we get up to age 40, then you're looking at about 8% muscle loss per decade. Okay, so that can add up over time. May not seem like a lot, 8%, but you start adding that up per decade, then that could be a lot of muscle mass that we can lose. So we don't want to lose our muscle mass. Okay. Um, so yeah, we need a lot of muscles. We need protein. Okay, so we want to prioritize protein. When I'm talking about prioritizing, we want to make sure when it comes to our diet, we want to eat protein first. Okay, remember proteins. come first. So when you're eating your meal, you want to consume your protein first. A big reason why you want to consume your protein first is that uh, not only is going to help meet our protein needs for our bodily functions as I just mentioned to you, but also protein helps to keep us full, or it stimulates our satiety hormones in our guts that gives us a sense of fullness when we eat protein. And that way we will have a tendency of not overeating. One thing I find is that amusing is that when it comes to carbohydrates, we can overeat carbohydrates, right? But I'm gonna tell you, it's very, very hard to overconsume protein because it's going to get to a point where your body just going to become satiated and you're not going to want it anymore. That's a natural thing that God has instilled in us is to eat protein, and that protein becomes satiated or become full, and we stop eating. Okay. Um, so yeah, we want to prioritize our proteins. Proteins come first. How much protein should we be eating? That's another big question that be going around. Is common accepted or common knowledge that they say you want to eat 1 gram of protein per pound. So if you're eating, so if you weigh about 196 pounds, you want to eat 196 grams of protein per day. Um, Now, of course, that can vary depending on your activity level. If you're very active, you work out, then you want to might consume more protein because you'll have more need for protein when you're working out and you're exercising your muscles vigorously. But if you're sedentary, you're not that highly active, then you won't need as much protein. When you get older, when you get into your 40s and 50s and 60s, then you might want to consume more protein because, again, as we age, we have a tendency of our protein, our muscle mass to lessen, become less. But we can keep that from happening by exercising, staying active, and increasing our protein intake. Okay, so number one is prioritizing your protein. Number two, let's talk about fats. The next tip for optimizing your health is don't fear fat. Okay, a lot of people um, they think it's fat is bad for you. It's gonna, you've heard the stories. It's gonna clog your arteries. It's gonna give you a heart attack. It's gonna give you strokes, etc., etc. And that's just a major marketing ploy to scare people into buying carbs or foods that's highly processed. So they want you to stay away from the healthy fats. They want you to eat more carbohydrate rich foods, which is which is even unhealthier for you than fat. So we should not fear fat. Why shouldn't we fear fat? Because fat, um, our body not only is comprised of protein, but it is comprised mainly of fat as well. About 70% of our brain is derived made of fat. Okay, every cells in our bodies, the little membrane around the cells are cholesterol, come from fat. So it's very important for fat to have include fat in our diet. Even our nervous system, the nerves are covered with fat or cholesterol to help with processing information for our nervous system, our nervous to our nervous system to function properly, to fire at those endings between um, the nerve endings and other endings. You need fat to help with that process. Okay, a lot of neurological illnesses and diseases are due to because We don't have adequate amount of fat intake in our body, in our diet. Okay. Now, let's quantify fat. When I say don't fear fat, we want to not fear natural fats like your saturated God made fats, like your animal fats. Okay. And um, a lot of your a good example of your saturated fat or animal fat is beef tallow. You have lard. You have butter. Okay. You have ghee, which is um, modified from butter. Okay. You have coconut, which is another saturated fat. These are natural saturated fats that God made as healthy for you. Okay, so don't fear fat. Fat is your friend. Now, there are some fats I want to tell you about that you might want to steer away from and to avoid, and that is your seed oils. Okay, you want to try to avoid your seed oils, in particular your vegetable oils, your canola oils, your safflower oils, your sunflower oil, grapeseed oils, cottonseed oils. All these type of oils are highly processed and they're very unhealthy because they cause inflammation in your body. They oxidize very quickly in our bodies, which causes free radicals, which damages your tissues and your organs, blood vessels in your body. Okay, so you want to steer away from those type of seed oils. When these seed oils are produced or manufactured, they are highly processed because they have to get the little oils from these seeds. So they subject these seed oils to high temperature, a lot of chemical solvents to get them out. Um, then they have to use deodorizers, and because they say that the workers who work on in the processing plants of these seed oils, the stench is so bad that they have to add deodorant to the process of processing these oils. Okay, and of course they put the colors in there and the chemicals, so it's very unhealthy. That is not unnatural type of process for us to eat. And when we consume these type of seed oils, they are foreign to our body. You know, our chemical makeup, they don't recognize all these chemicals and solvents that these seed oils are processed in, and it causes a lot of diseases. So with your natural animals saturated fat, that's God made. Okay, God made that, and these have a tendency to be more healthier for you than your seed oils. So don't fear fat. Just make sure you consume the healthier fats, like I just mentioned to you, and avoid your seed oils. Okay, don't think that people think that the more fat turns into fat, but that's not the issue. And speaking of fat, it has been debunked. The lie has been debunked that fat going to cause heart attacks and strokes and um, other health issues like that. But that has been debunked. Okay, in medical journals, that saturated fat does not clog arteries. Like, it does not give a heart attack. Conversely, it has been shown that diets low, very low in fat and saturated fat actually indeed causes heart attacks and strokes. Okay, so they got it a little backwards and twisted. Um, so you want to be sure and know that um, lowering your fat intake is more harmful for your body than saturated fat. Okay, the culprit behind this issue for heart disease and strokes is not fat, but is processed sugar. Okay, that's where the problem and the issues lie, in processed sugar, refined carbs, ultra processed foods. That's the issue. That's what causes inflammation in the body, in the arteries and the vessels, and and the fat or cholesterol just happen to be bystanders. It doesn't cause it. It's just part of the healing process. When our vessels are damaged by sugar, um, it causes inflammation. Then when the part of the healing process requires protein and other minerals and cholesterol to be deposited on that site, the wound, so to speak, to heal it. Okay, but the cholesterol is not the cause of it. Okay, it's just there because part of the healing process. But the culprit, the cause of it, is ultra processed sugar, refined sugar that causes inflammation, along with the seed oils that causes inflammation as well. So that's what you want to steer away from: your sugar and seed oils. Those are two um, big players in causing inflammation in your body, and that causes eventually cardiovascular disease. Okay, so you don't want to fear fat. Just make sure you're eating the healthier fat versus the unhealthier fats and seed oils. Okay. Lastly, just talk about the third thing that as another key or tip for optimizing your health is controlling carbs. Okay, and especially your sugar, refined sugar. You want to control that as much as possible to keep it as low as possible, because that's the issue, that one of the primary causes of inflammation in your body is overconsumption of sugar, refined carbs. Okay, so ultra processed foods. These type of foods have been stripped of its nutrients and fiber, which is very healthy for us. But they strip the fiber out of these products, like oranges. What they make orange juice, they strip the fiber. Same thing with apple juice and other fruit juices. They strip the fiber out of these fruits, and to increase the shelf life. Okay, but what you have is a product void of fiber and nutrients, and you have just mainly glucose and sugar, which raises your blood sugar and spike your insulin immediately upon consumption. Okay, so you want to control your carbohydrate intake. Okay, which is very, very important to maintaining optimum health. Did you know that of the macronutrients, the three main macronutrients, which is protein, carbohydrates, and fats, that carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient? That's right. Let me repeat that again. Carbohydrates is not an essential nutrient, which means that our body doesn't need to intake it or need it from an outside source. Okay, from all plant-based foods contain glucose, and our bodies doesn't require an outside source of glucose to survive or thrive on. Okay, if whenever carbohydrate intake is very low, okay, and if the body needs carbohydrates or glucose, which it does, certain parts of the body requires a little amount of glucose, like your brain, it requires a little glucose. Um, your kidneys requires a little glucose. Your reproductive glands, especially the men testicles, requires a little glucose. Okay, but it doesn't require a lot, just a very little. And if the body needs the glucose to carry on its function, it can make glucose. It makes its own glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis, where it can break down fats and can get glucose from fats, and also can get glucose from proteins if it needs it. Okay, so our bodies don't require an outside source of carbohydrates to live. So therefore, we can keep our focus on keeping our carbohydrates low as possible. Okay, to maintain optimum health, because the higher we the higher carbohydrate intake, the more insulin response to those carbs to clear the blood of those carbohydrates and sugars, because that's one of the main functions of insulin, is to clear the blood from out of clear the blood from glucose and put into cells for energy. Okay, so excess sugar in the blood is highly toxic. At any given moment, if we were to take our blood and send it through centrifuge, and after it's done and all settled, the most sugar that we will have in our blood is approximately 1 teaspoonful of sugar, which is about 4 grams. Okay, so as you can see, most of our diets contain a whole lot more than 1 gram of sugar. Okay, it's estimated today that the average household in the United States averages about 61 teaspoons of sugar per day. And that is astronomical, a lot of sugar. And it's no wonder why we have these type of metabolic illnesses like type 2 diabetes and fatty liver, uh, problems with our kidneys and dementia, Alzheimer's disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome. A lot of our gut issues stems from overconsumption of sugar. Okay, sugar is highly, highly toxic to our bodies. Okay, so you want to try to control your carbohydrates as much as possible. Cut back. You might want to even consider some sugar substitutes to wean yourself off of sugar. There's a lot of healthy sugar substitutes on the market to help you to wean yourself from sugar. For example, you might want to consider using stevia in your coffee or tea instead of regular table sugar. You can even use monk fruit is another good uh, sugar substitute. My favorite is allulose. Allulose is very, very good, healthy for you, and a very good sugar substitute as well. There's also xylitol is another sugar substitute, and erythritol. You might know it from the brand name Swerve. So it is made from erythritol, which also is a good, very good sugar substitute. Now, on the cautious side with these sugar substitute, these are sugar alcohols, ones I just mentioned. Everybody's gut may not be able to tolerate these type of alcohols, sugar alcohols. So it's just a person by person type of thing. You try to see how it makes you feel. Sometimes it could cause a little bloating, a little gas, a little stomach pain. So if it caused that, then just cut it out. Try something else. Okay. So those are main things you want to uh, look at in um, for as controlling or optimizing your health, and that is prioritizing protein. Don't fear fat, especially the healthier fats and animal fats, and control your carbs. You do those three things, and you will be way ahead of the game for us getting or optimizing your health. Okay, so hey guys, make sure that you subscribe to the channel to help keep it going, and for more content like this, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be informed when I drop another video. So you guys have a blessed evening. Thanks for joining in, and God bless. I'll see you in the next video.